Hey guys, just want to let you know that starting tomorrow, February 6th and lasting through the 10th, my Gfuel discount code WhosImmortal will be boosted to get you a 30% discount on everything on the site. So if you want to grab a new tub, shaker cup, or starter pack, now is the best time to do so. And now on to today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, hey hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We've broken down a lot of classes so far this year, but admittedly there are a handful of weapons that I tend to avoid most of the time when it comes to going for more impressive gameplays and honestly just general usage. And that is none other than the snipers, and by association this year, the marksman rifles as well. However, through my Road to Damascus camo, I had to use them, and quite frankly, I found myself enjoying my time with several of them. So today we're breaking down the best class setups for every marksman and sniper rifle, and also ranking them in their individual categories as well. But before we jump into that, if you're new here, I am always covering the latest Call of Duty news and intel, best class setups, and all sorts of stuff like that. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on to stay up to date with all of that. And of course, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Now, I do want to preface this, I really don't think I'm all that great of a sniper. You know, I can hit a shot here and there, but I'm not someone to 1, snipe regularly, or 2, just pop off and go on crazy streaks with them on a consistent basis. But I do have them all gold this year, and I feel like I've played with them enough to really know what the most ideal setups are to run. I do also want to mention that since we are doing both the marksman rifles and the snipers, we are going to rank each category separate since they are pretty different in some aspects, but I do have them ranked against one another in my ranking every weapon video if you do want to check that out. Anyways, getting right into it, let's first start with the marksman rifles, where here, coming in at the number 3 spot is going to be the Kar 98K. However, even though I consider it to be the lesser of the 3, it is still really good to use with the right setup equipped. Now, long range, this weapon isn't as great unless you are consistently hitting headshots, but you can use this thing as an aggressive sniper like I do on shipments in the gameplay in the background, and it is seriously effective when used as such. So on the car, I am rocking the Syngard custom 27.6-inch barrel to help extend the range while also increasing the control and bullet velocity, and that ideally will help more in those longer range fights by limiting those hit markers. I also use the tack laser as this is going to increase my aim down sight speed, and also help with the overall stability of the weapon too, making it a bit easier to stay on target. Then personally, I prefer using the sniper scope optic, as that is what I find myself being the most accurate with, although this spot really just comes down to preference at the end of the day. If you like the iron sights, more power to you, but for me, they just aren't ideal in most situations. I also then use the F-Tac Sport comb stock to once again increase the ADS speed a bit more. And then lastly, I also use the iconic stippled grip tape as well to also boost up that ADS speed and the sprint to fire speed too. So all around, like I said, yeah, the car is in the number 3 spot for me, but that does not make it bad by any means, and honestly, I do really enjoy using it from time to time. Then moving on into the number 2 spot, here I've got the Mk2 or the Mk2 Carbine, aka the cowboy rifle as some people refer to it as, which is yet another incredibly fun weapon to use. Now, its damage is a bit inconsistent and a lot more limited than the cars. However, for aggressive sniping, I'd say there really is no better option than the Mk2, as this thing can be built to be extremely fast and agile, and thus it is great for CQC engagements, and also for going for clips if you're into that sort of thing. So here we've got the FSS 24-inch factory barrel to increase the range, bullet velocity, and also the control. Then I've got the tack laser once again for the same reasons as on the car. Then that's followed by the FSS Mk2 Sport comb stock, which ends up increasing the ADS speed, ultimately helping even more with that overall mobility. Then I've got the stippled grip tape on here again per usual. And lastly, I'm using sleight of hand. However, there is an exception with this setup that I do want to mention, and that is the fact that sleight of hand really only comes into play when I am playing on smaller maps like Shipment or Shoot House. If I were to use this weapon in Ground War, let's say, or even in 10v10, then in that case, I'd much rather use the VLK 3x optic instead of sleight of hand to give me a bit more range, so just keep that in mind there. Now, of course, since the car and the Mk2 are numbers 3 and 2 on the list respectively, that leaves the EBR-14 to be number 1, which I know may surprise quite a few people out there, but just hear me out. This weapon is semi-auto and is a lot easier to use in most cases compared to the car and the Mk2. You know, your aim still has to be good, but I do feel like you have a bit more leeway with this compared to the others on the list. And with this being a 2-shot kill at most ranges and also a 1-shot to the head, it is definitely the most consistent for my playstyle and overall the most effective out of the 3 in my own opinion. Now here, my class consists of the Forged Tack Precision 22-inch barrel, and this once again increases the control, the range, and also the bullet velocity. And that's then followed by the Tack Laser for the same reasons as before. I am also using the GI Mini Reflex here, as I'm not really a huge fan of the iron sights, and I do like to play this weapon mainly in close or medium range fights, so that's really the most ideal for those circumstances. Then I've also got the FSS Raider Chassis Elite stock, and this is going to increase the ADS speed, the sprint to fire speed, and your strafing speed too. So ultimately this is a very key component in this setup. Now as far as the 5th attachment goes, this is where it comes down a lot more to personal preference. Here you can use something like the Commando foregrip if you want to stay on target more, the Monolithic Suppressor if you want a bit more range, or even a weapon perk like say Sleight of Hand, Recon, or even Focus, depending on what exactly you're looking for in the weapon. Personally, I find Recon to be a very big help for long-range engagements. You know, I can simply find an aim in that general direction, and find my way to some pretty easy kills. So all around, the EBR is definitely my #1 choice here. I know it might not be the most popular opinion, but I truly think it is a bit underrated. Anyways, moving on over into the snipers, here's where things get a bit more interesting. Starting us off here, we have the Dragunov at the #3 spot, because straight up this thing is hot trash. Honestly, I would say it is my least favorite primary in the game outside of like the Riot Shield, because I just find it to be too slow, too weak, and too awkward to use in any kind of ideal playstyle suitable for me. Regardless, I did find a class that made the weapon decently better, and it starts with the Monolithic Suppressor to increase the range some. Then I've got the 660mm extended barrel to extend the range and increase the control as well as the bullet velocity. Then once again I have the Tack Laser equipped here too, alongside the VOK 3x optic as my preferred scope. And lastly, I've got the F-Tac Stalker Scout stock to increase the overall aim down sight speed. Now ultimately what I was aiming for here is to make the Dragunov into a marksman rifle of sorts to help it be a bit more effective all around. I guess it kind of works, but like I said, I truly do not like this weapon that much, and frankly would not really recommend using it unless you still need to unlock gold camo on it. Moving on though, we then get into the more fun sniper setups with the AX50 and the HDR, both of which I really enjoy using. However, ranking them is a bit more difficult because they are very different in my mind, so here things get a bit odd because I think it really comes down to your playstyle specifically. Now, for me personally, I think the AX50 is the #2 sniper. However, if you are a really aggressive sniper who likes to quickscope and just run around a ton, the AX50 is probably your #1 choice. For me though, like I said earlier, I don't think I'm that great at sniping, so I really don't play super aggressive when using these weapons, and thus the AX50, because of its slightly worse damage and range, takes a back seat to the HDR. Anyways, my setup on the AX50 is comprised of the Monolithic Suppressor to help increase the range, the Singuard Arms Pro Barrel to increase the damage range, the Tack Laser once more, the Singuard Arms Assassin stock, which not only sounds cool, but it also increases the ADS speed. Then finally, once more, I do use the grip tape of the stippled nature. So, of course, all of that said, by process of elimination, the HDR is my #1 sniper rifle because this thing is consistently a one-shot weapon that has a really good range. So for ground war, it is an optimal choice, and in general, I would say it is definitely my favorite sniper. Now here I am using the Monolithic Suppressor yet again, the 26.9-inch HDR Pro Barrel to increase the range and control, the Tack Laser for one final time today, the F-Tac Stalker Scout stock for the ADS speed increase, and finally the Recon perk to highlight enemy names at greater distances, since I am mainly using this weapon in pretty long-range fights. So all around, we get a very powerful, very consistent sniper at the end of the day. Now, with all of that being said, that is effectively how I would rank all of these snipers and marksman rifles alongside the best class setups for each, and that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it, and of course, if you're new here and you want to stay up to date with the latest Call of Duty news and intel, updates and leaks, and pretty much everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I upload a new video. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all Scuff, Gfuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. Also, if you want to check out my Twitch as well, that is also linked down in the description below. I have been streaming a lot more recently, and I'd love to see you over there in the chat. Anyways, once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.